Hello and welcome to World Series. No, it's not the World Series, is it? I'm in yesterday mode. It's the FRR-idays Cup at Canada, seeing as it is for Friday today. Can you tell I've had a lack of sleep over the last few days? Anyway, I'm Front Row Racing DP, doing commentary for the FRR-idays event tonight, and I'm joined in the commentary box by Front Row Racing RI, otherwise known as Ray, Joel Brooks. I really shouldn't say that, because every time I say that I feel like saying something else, and when I'm tired I can tend to be a little bit rude with my humour. But anyway, how are you this evening, Ray?
I'm fine, very well as well. How's yourself?
I'm good. I'm going to do things a little differently today. Usually for the FRR-idays or even the league events, we would sit in the pits and watch from the pit lane so we could see the times and all that kind of stuff. But seeing as the FRR-idays is a different event to the league ones, it's the feeder system, I'm just going to go with the broadcast view, because all we're really interested in here is seeing the drivers ideally staying on the tarmac. Now, we've got an absolutely full lobby for this evening. A few of the drivers are league drivers. Whether it be wanting to test the setup because they feel their setup wasn't right from the other night, or weren't able to race so want to race tonight. But we have got a number of new drivers. We've got Stringy in, who's here for his second FRR-idays event. Twist Royalty, who is new this week, going quite slow at the moment, but warming up his tyres by the looks of it. So it'll be interesting to see how Twist Royalty gets on. We got Hindle, who's done quite well in the last couple of FRR-idays events, potentially quite quick here, but I did have a word with him the other day just to guide him in the right direction towards some of the apexes. And we have JJ8816, and these are guys that have messaged us this week. So JJ is new into FRR-idays this week, so it'll be interesting to see how some of these drivers get on. So I'll let Ray just watch him for a moment, and he can think of any funny things to say. I'm sure he'll come up with a few. Now, obviously, for some of the drivers that are taking part this evening, they may have watched the World Series or the World Championship League events, watched it on the live stream and messaged the page, which is, your drivers are more than welcome to do so. If you want to join a league, then feel free. Find Front Row Racing on Facebook, send us a message. What they might not be aware of is, for example, the rules that we apply in the leagues and how we run the FRR-idays events. So if they're taking part in these events, the event today, then obviously it would be helpful for them if we discuss it a little bit, Ray, so that when they watch it back, obviously they'll hear us discussing it. Now, with the FRR-idays events, it is a feeder system into our leagues. We've got an assists off league, the World Championship, assists on or assists allowed league, the World Series. Now, drivers take part in the FRR-idays events, new drivers that is, and show that they can race clean, keeping the car on the road, race fair. It doesn't matter if they're quick or not, and if they do so for a few races, then they will be able to be a reserve driver for one of the other leagues, or even both of the other leagues. That's their way in. Prove themselves as a reserve driver, and opportunities may become available for them to take a permanent place if they become available, and some of them have already been taken so far, and some are going to come in the future. So Ray, from your point of view, what would you be looking for from the drivers today, especially the new drivers?
I'll be looking for clean racing, not too much contact, and keeping two wheels on the black tarmac inside that white line.
Well, that's the thing. I mean, some of the drivers who are taking part this evening may not have fully understand our ETL penalty systems that we have in place. Now, ETL is exceeding track limits, and if you've been on Facebook today, people, you may have seen that in the real F1, the FIA have, or at least Charlie Whiting, has imposed new guidelines for the Singapore Grand Prix regarding exceeding track limits. Now, for Front Row Racing, we keep it to a fairly simple rule, to be honest. Oh, Huggable Panda, that's Jade. She's lost her wing and let a couple of drivers through. Okay, yeah, we work quite a fairly simple system, don't we? Well, I think it's simple anyway. At the edge of the track, you've got 2 white lines. We can see one on the left there. There's one on the right. Keep 2 wheels within those white lines. It's that simple. If you happen to take all 4 wheels over one of those white lines on an apex of a corner or the exit of a corner, then you do a clear and present, easy for the stewards to see, lift off, or at least see and hear, or if you record your own footage, easy for them to tell that you have done a lift off. Do that, you can avoid a penalty unless you are continuously off the circuit. And if you are, then penalties will apply. So for some of the new drivers, they may not be aware of this. So this corner that Stringy's just done there, the apex that he took was a little bit too much off the track, so he would have to do a lift off. Now in the FRR-idays events, we don't have stewards, we don't have any additional penalties applied after the races, we do nothing with it, because it's a place for drivers to come and drive, show us how you drive, and we can then say to them in private, you need to improve in this area a little bit to be able to become a reserve driver. Then we get to see whether they do improve that. If they don't, then they won't become a reserve driver. If they do, then they can. It's quite simple. But it is something that in front row racing we have tried clamping down on over the last couple of seasons, because every now and again there are drivers out there that do take advantage of the circuits, and on occasions, I mean, I've heard numerous different reasons for it. Some is, well, the game doesn't give me a penalty for it, so I'm doing it. So yeah, but you're not on the racetrack. That's my answer to it. It's as simple as that. There's a racetrack, and then there's off the racetrack, and you're off the racetrack. Anyway, I'm going to try and not rant about this. Oh, see now, Twist Royalty's taking a bit too much curb there. That's where, in a league race, he's going to need to do a lift off, and he can continue on. So for someone like, say, Twist Royalty, he may not be aware of that as a rule in front row racing, but that's why I'm discussing it, or at least I'm waffling on and not letting Ray get a word in edgeways. Yeah, it's why I'm talking about it so much now, so that these drivers, when they watch this back, can go, right, okay, for the next event, I need to make sure I'm not doing anything like that. Okay, so let's actually ride on board. Change camera. So Twist Royalty then, new driver into FRR-idays, currently sat in 14th place. Now I can't see the timing screen or leaderboard. There's a corner, you see. Now he may not be aware that we don't want our drivers taking the corner in that way, because he's clearly 4 wheels off the racetrack. But that's why in these events he'll watch this footage, he'll hear what we're saying, he may agree with it, he may disagree with it, but we keep it plain and simple. 2 white lines, the edge of the track, 2 wheels have got to be on the tarmac. So here is just about okay. So anyway, I can't see the timing screen, Ray, so feel free to comment on who's in what position, who's done what times, if you can see it.
Rocky's first, and he's done a 1 minute 12.219.
Okay, now, sorry, go on.
Then it's second Hindle, he's only 1/10 off him. Then it's Richard Davey, he's 6/10 off the leader. They've got up till the top 5 are 7/10, if I've got that right. So you've got Stocky, Handel, Richard David, Fabuff, Paul. We've got Jeffy, who is Killer Corkin, James Hulkenberg, JJ, Andy Russell, Twist Royalty, the Huggable Panda, Stringy, Dave the Heart, My Bad, then me and you.
Okie doke. Now it looks like Paul's just starting a lap. Stocky's on an out lap as well. Now Paul did very well to win the World Series race last night. He dealt with a safety car restart in beautiful fashion. At the hairpin, he bolted, he went and just left the rest of the field, sat there going, what's going on? And he was free to do that, and it worked a treat for him. Now, I do know there's been a few drivers that have wanted to join the session today, some being current league drivers, but Paul's gone well wide. That's going to be that lap gone. So let's go and ride on board with somebody else. Richie Davey. Oh, he's only coming out of the pit, so we won't ride on board with him. Twist Royalty, we've ridden on board with them already. Huggable Panda down in 10th place. Now she said, this is Jade, she said that she was doing 113.0s earlier today, so was hoping for a fairly decent session this evening. Potential, if you can get a 13.0, perhaps get into the sort of top 5, 6 maybe.
She's sitting at a 114.7.
Yeah, and I think the last time I viewed her, there was no front wing. She's just gone 6th. Now, there was a little bit too much curb taken on that final corner, but at the moment, obviously, we're not going to do anything about it other than point it out that in a league race, you're not going to get away with that kind of thing. So I'm going to ride on board now with James Hulkenberg. He asked whether he could race this evening because he wants to try a setup. He went with a setup in the World Championship on Wednesday, and he said it seemed to be completely wrong. So he's made some changes to it and wants to see if those changes have benefited him. So James is using this session as a test session, which is kind of fair enough. Now, obviously, the more new drivers we get that want to be proving themselves to have a chance in the league, then obviously they get first invites into these FRR-idays events. Then the league drivers will get invites from there. But I am surprised in a way that we ended up with a full lobby, because, I mean, it could just have been because it was Monaco, but last week at Monaco there wasn't that many drivers, but it's always the way with Monaco. A few people don't like it, so they think, you know what, I won't bother. Now, James Hulkenberg's got a beautiful line through those first sector. I actually want to ride on board just so we can see with James Hulkenberg here. Nice line again through the start of sector 2. Now, James was actually talking to me as well. He did say he watched my footage of our World Championship race on Wednesday, and he did comment to me saying some of the drivers' lines, for example, I'm following cars, and the cars ahead's lines through some of the corners were not very good. And James did say to me, like, some of the lines these drivers ahead of you have taken are terrible. I was like, I know, mate. And a few of them have been reported by others, or a few drivers have mentioned it. But again, James through the final chicane on the limit, but you call that clean. The only way you could tell whether he cut that corner would be to slow it down in slow motion and have a look. And that's one of the things that we don't do. We do say, with the white line that you can see here, if you've got tyres on that line, you're okay. If we have to slow it down and look in slow motion to see if you're on the line or not, we'll let it go. So for that, James is taking it to the limit, and he's working very nicely for him. The problem is, obviously, he's currently sat in 7th place. Now, some may think, well, James isn't very quick. Well, actually, he is a fairly damn quick driver, but you'll see he's keeping his lines clean. And this is one of the things with the exceeding track limits. I mean, I'll put it into perspective. I was doing a practice session on Tuesday, I think it was, and I was on the prime tyres, and I was banging in consistent lap times. They weren't very good lap times, but they were consistent. 13.5, 13.5, 13.5, 13.5 for literally 10 to 12 laps, right? For the lap number 13, I told my mates, I said, right, maybe took a little too much there, James. I said, right, I'm going to do something that I shouldn't do and normally I wouldn't do, but I want to test something out. So I went and took a little too much curb at turn 1, and I took a little bit too much curb at turn 3 and 4, turns 5, turns 8 and 9, and the final chicane. I gained 1.5 seconds in one lap, just by taking a bit of an advantage in those corners. Now, we've got a Ferrari of Richie Davey with damage on his front wing. He's not going to be overly pleased about that one. Now, Richie's obviously not had much practice around Canada because he ended up missing the race. All stringy, I think, may have taken a little too much curb. Yeah, Richie was unable to race this week. We all know why. And if not, it doesn't matter. We move on. Dealt with, move on. Move on to the next event, which is what we're doing now. But yeah, I mean, ETLs, I keep going on about it. It's something that has bugged me for a long time, because, I mean, I had it in the past where people said to me, oh, you're only that quick because you're cutting corners. And it's like, no, I'm not. And I've never been one for taking advantage of corners and stuff like that. And I suppose in a way, perhaps it was a little selfish. It was like, you know what, if you want to come and beat me, come and beat me. But you come and beat me fairly. And I tell you what, Kev's of a similar mindset as well. Because obviously Kev's a front row racing world champion. And he's of a similar mindset of, okay, if you're quick, you're quick. If you think you can come and beat me, come and beat me. Give me the challenge. But you better make sure you do it cleanly. Because that's what we work towards. And anyway, I'm going to shut up about that one. Ray, talk about something else. I put you on the spot now, haven't I? Come on.
First place is sitting at a 1 minute 12.139. And that's ex-Hindle, so it's changed hands.
Okay, now Hindle, like I said, he was quick earlier on in the week. Stringy's struggling a little bit here, got a bit of dirt on his tyres. Yeah, Hindle was quick earlier in the week. Hopefully he's taken on board. I mean, he's a driver that I did have a little quiet word with and just said, look, if you want to, because he's done a couple of races with us, he's won a couple on the Fridays. It's like, I'd like to push him towards being on that reserve driver list. But so he needed that sort of, look, just work on this and you'll be there, mate. And it's the same for a lot of the drivers. Now, I'm riding on board with Killer Corkin here. Go on, Ray.
It will be hard in this, I think. If you're seeing people ETLing and they know the stewards, there's no stewards penalties or that, we're going to start copying to try and keep up. In a way.
That is true, and that's one thing that I would say to especially the new drivers. If you do see the car ahead exceeding track limits in any of the FRR-idays events, don't copy them. Don't think that you can do the same or that you should do the same, because if you do the same, you won't be on the reserve list. And that's where you want to be, because you want to race in the league. That's why you're here racing. So if you copy them, neither of you will be on the reserve driver list. But if you stay on the racing track, if you stay on the tarmac, you drive cleanly, the person ahead that may have gone a bit quicker isn't going to be on the reserve driver list, but you will be. If that person then questions, well, how come they're on the list and I'm not? So we'll look at the footage. So it works in that respect. So anyway, I have just noticed there's quite a lot of carbon fibre, you know, down by the Wall of Champions. Now, I can't see how long we've got left of the session, but I'm guessing not long, because there's only two drivers. Yeah, I say, because there's only two drivers left on track at the moment. And JJ is one of them, coming up to the final corner. And passes the Wall of Champions quite comfortably. Is he going to improve on his 8th place? He is to 7th place. Right, I am going to try my absolute damnedest to not discuss ETLs during the race, but everyone who's watching, just keep an eye out. If cars are off track, that's what they need to work on to stay on the tarmac. Okay, so we've got a couple of moments for the drivers to get their cars back to the pit lane. And for me to chill out a bit and let's get away from ETLs. Yeah, yeah. Okay, that's not a can of beer opening, it's a can of Sprite. I'll try and get a free case off them for advertising. I also like Fanta. I'm not a fan of Coca-Cola though. Go on, Ray.
I'm a great fan of attendance if they're on. Watching this.
Well, that doesn't surprise me, being Scottish. I tell you what, I'm a great fan of Bugattis, Learjets.
I don't think they would use one of them.
Well, you never know. You might get a Matchbox one. Okay, so anyway, let's think more about the race that's coming up then. As we're on the Circuit Shield Villeneuve. There's going to be 18 laps for this race. Drivers can use options or prime tyres, but there's also, I haven't looked at what the weather may be. There is a chance of it being wet because the weather is set to dynamic. Damage is set to full. So anything could happen here in the 18 laps. for those drivers that may start on prime tyres, they're going to struggle a little bit at the start, but there isn't much of a time difference between the two tyre types early on. But if you start on the primes, finish on the options, potentially you're going to be quick at the end. If you start on the options, you've really got to make it work so that when you're on the primes at the end, you're not a sitting duck. Quack, quack.
Yeah,
now,
Dom proved that with starting on the primes and then going to the options. He managed to get up to third.
He did, but I mean, he went quite early on to his first set of tyres. Now, when he was on the primes, he was able to sort of battle with me when I was on the options. But then when it was the other way round, yeah, because he was right behind me for 4 to 5 laps. But then after that, I pulled away. When the tyres were the opposite way round and I was on the primes and he was on the options, I was right behind him. Now, I know towards the end of the race he would have been backing off. He wouldn't going to catch Kev. He'd have been cruising. But I looked at the race time at the end, and the gap between myself and Dom was 8 seconds, and my pit stop was 10 seconds long because of the bloody pit crew that you told me about. They just weren't there. So I was sat there Wednesday night thinking, oh, if that pit crew had been where they were supposed to be, of actually fighting for that second place, possibly. But anyway, right, we're on to the FRR-idays Cup event for this evening. Now, I've got a feeling, Jim may have written his car off in that session because he's not actually set a time. Now, I did say I saw a lot of carbon fibre at the Wall of Champions, and I think that could have been Jim's front wing there. Yeah, quite possibly. Okay, so this race is going to get going in a few moments' time. Me and Ray, we're going to sit here for a couple of seconds, let the drivers get away, and then we'll see how the race goes. We'll just try and commentate on it as we see it. For most of the drivers, they just need to keep it clean and have a good race. And for anyone, if it does go wrong, that's the time to go, okay, you know what, get in the pits, new wing, whatever, and just go and race cleanly. Okay, so we're on 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights, and away they go. So we'll give them a few moments with all the wheel spin, and Jim, I've just seen, has had a massive tank slapper as he was changing gear there. So riding on board with Killer Corkin, who's not quite getting swamped, but we've got nearly a 3-car battle behind with the Panda and JJ. And the Panda taking quite a lot of curb there, but more likely to give a bit of room. And still side by side though, so let's actually move on to those two. Oh, it won't let me ride on board with JJ. So we'll ride on board with the Panda, who's got Hulkenberg all over the back of her. And we will keep the comments clean from there, Ray. So, in the top 5 at the moment, it looks like we've got Hindle leading the race still, with Stocky behind him. Oh, big contact there between Stringy and JJ. They're both just about facing the right direction. It's going to get very, very busy though, heading down towards the final chicane. Someone is going to be ending up in the wall down here, I think. It's just got that written all over it, hasn't it? It's coming.
What's that?
Stringy's pulled out. The Panda takes evasive. I don't blame. No, it's not the Panda there. The Mercedes took evasive, and I don't blame them. It is the Panda. Oh, that's contact. And now JJ. Oh, and now the Panda's been spun and facing the wrong direction. And now it looks like JJ is trying to give the position back, possibly. I don't know, but they're all getting a bit busy. Hulkenberg got caught up a little bit in that one, but managed to get away with it. There's a right old battle going on down here.
JJ's lost his way.
Oh, he's facing the wrong direction. And it won't let me ride on board with him. I can't see him.
I'll try.
That's a shame that, but now we've got Hindle pulling out a gap at the front. Now Stocky, who was in second place, is now in third. Richie Davies got ahead, and Stocky was not overly pleased with how his World Championship event went on Wednesday. He was being put off during qualifying, and he's on the prime tyre at the moment, so he's potentially going to be quick at the end as long as he can make it to the end. He has had a few problems with connection lately, so hopefully that won't strike again. So for Hindle though, he'll feel quite comfortable leading the race, pulling out a gap. Richie Davies going to be wanting to prove himself here. He is the current World Series champion, the reigning champion. So for him, he will always feel like he should be up there near the front of a battle. Now, Ray, it sounded like you was about to say something. Go ahead.
Killer Corkin and Stringy are having a good battle down to turn 1. Just went through turn 3 cleanly.
2 and 3 and 4. Oh, Stringy's into the wall now, though. I don't know exactly what happened there. Quite possibly, or he got all over that curb and it spat him towards the wall. Oh, Hulkenberg's gone a little bit wide, but he's got a Mercedes up the inside of him. I think he's being abused by a Panda at the moment. He is. Oh, the Panda's off track, though. Okay, Andy Russell.
She's gave some time back.
Oh, Andy Russell, my bad. Oh, Jim's put her car into the wall. Andy Russell's not going to be too happy about that one. He's still alive at the moment. He's going to have to be careful, though. I didn't fully see exactly what happened there. I literally came on board, saw those two cars side by side, and then Andy Russell's flying off into the wall. Now, in the World Series race yesterday, my bad, did have a collision with Connor, which put him into the wall and ended Connor's race. And it looks like Andy Russell's just got away with not having his race ended there.
3 round turn 2, 3 white round turn 2.
Who is it?
Panster.
Panster? You got pants on the mind, Ray. Oh, it's all getting busy in Hulkenberg's. I mean, Hulkenberg, right, he'll be following this, thinking, okay, we're in for a good battle here. But at the same time, he will potentially be seeing a few drivers off the track a little bit, and it will be frustrating for him. I tell you what, we're not going to discuss anything. I'm just going to change view. Just so we can see the view from Hulkenberg's position at this moment in time. Now, obviously, for new drivers,
contact Killer, I think it was on string there. He just hit the back of him after that hairpin.
Now, it was at that corner yesterday that Killer Corkin unfortunately spun his mate Tony Oinanen on the very last lap of the race, but he did give him the position back. Oh, Hulkenberg's all locked up. Oh, he was taking evasive there. I think that caught him out a little bit. But yeah, I mean, for Hulkenberg, it could be quite frustrating if he feels that the cars ahead are not quite keeping it on the road. But this is where, for someone like Hulkenberg, this is your opportunity to show them live how to take the corners properly, which means he's about to abuse this one. Oh, on the limit maybe, but not as bad as we've seen others before him. But for the new drivers here, this is where the temptation will be to push really, really, really hard, and perhaps a little bit too much. Whereas the better thing to do would... Jason's in for a new front wing. Oh, Huggable Panda's just nearly bit off the back end of Stringy. We're right on board with Stringy for a moment. I'll tell you what, Ray, if you can just keep an eye on the leaders for me, please. Oh, the Panda's having a look up the inside. A little bit of wheel-to-wheel contact there. DRS is going to be available for 3 cars here. I've got a feeling that Toro Rosso is going to be a sitting bull down here. Has the Mercedes got the speed? The Toro Rosso's gone defensive, leaving just enough room if they want to go around the outside. Oh, trying to go too wide. A little bit of contact puts the Panda out of shape. Oh, no. I think that's the Panda and possibly... No, it's not Hulkenberg. Hulkenberg's about to just drive past them. He has done. Okay, so the Huggable Panda then was a little unfortunate there, got caught out into the final chicane, and now My Bad is gaining here, and it was Killer Corkin, I think, that decided to grab hold of Jade and have a bit of fun up against the wall. Next viewing, please. Right, okay. Now, we haven't seen much of Twist Royalty at the moment. I don't know if anything happened to them earlier on in the race. Oh, Killer Corkin's facing the wrong direction. Now, I know we like cars to stay on track, but you've got to go the right direction as well. But obviously, we've no idea what happened there. I wasn't viewing. So, I'm not going to comment on that one. Okay, so Twist Royalty has got Dave the Harp behind him. And Dave the Harp, obviously, current league driver in the World Championship. So, Twist Royalty at the moment is ahead, doing quite well on the prime tyre. So, let's go and have a quick look up the front, shall we? Although we've got JJ8816, who I still can't view, out near the back. Okay, let's go and ride on board with Hindle, currently leading the race. Nice line through turn 3 and 4. Heading up to turns 6 and 7. Horrible little corner, this one where Button got past Vettel. We all saw it. Hopefully we know why that happened, and we know that it gave Jenson Button a fantastic victory on that day. Okay, turns 8 and 9. A nice line through there as well. And then heading up to turn 10. A hairpin that used to actually be a little bit further on down the track. And in the really olden days, this section of the track was different. Where this kink is, it used to be a chicane, a very slow chicane, but that's because there was a longer straight heading up to it. Oh, what are you seeing there, Ray?
The Panda broke herself and nearly took James Hulkenberg out. It just ghosted at the right time.
Oh, that's lucky. Now Hindo's taking a little bit too much curb at the final chicane, but ended up clipping the wall at the Wall of Champions. Second place is Richie Davey, who's not that far behind Hindle. Both of these on the option tyres, which can potentially go to about lap 11, 12, although I have taken them to a lap 15 in an 18-lap race around here a few days ago. So it depends on how the drivers look after their tyres. Stocky currently in third place, not that far behind Richie Davey. Oh, just clipped a wall though. He's on the prime tyres, and to be honest, he could pit this lap, get rid of those prime tyres, and put the options on to the end. And to be honest, he should do. If he pits this lap and the others don't pit, he will gain on both of them. Or at least he should do. Okay, Hulkenberg has now worked his way up to 4th place. The Huggable Panda into the wall in 5th place. It's been quite an eventful race for the Huggable Panda so far. My bad, currently sitting in 6th place with the Mercedes of Twist Royalty in 7th. Again, a couple of people have probably pitted either for damage or for tyre changes. Stringy B now on the prime tyre, unless they were at the start anyway.
They're doing the pit stops now.
Yep.
Oh, Huggable Panda hit the Wall of Champions. I think she's still going.
Oh, Twist Royalty. Oh no, that's the Huggable Panda. As the wheel rolls all the way down the start finish, it's all over then, I think, for the Huggable Panda. Ended in the wall of
the pits.
That is odd. Maybe it wasn't the Huggable Panda then.
The other one is Twist, and I can't get on him.
Now Stocky has pitted. I said he should pit this lap, and he has done. He's now got the option tyres on. Time to make that really work for Stocky. Hindle and Richie Davey heading down towards the final corners. Now I definitely saw a Mercedes in the wall with a tyre rolling down towards the start finish. Okay, Hindle now into the pit lane. Richie Davey continues on for another lap. So where is Stocky then? He's coming down towards the final chicane, but is he gaining enough to make any kind of advantage on Hindle here? Hindle's on his way already. It could possibly get close. Hulkenberg's through. He's yet to stop though, and Stocky's not been able to gain, but he is on the option tyres and Hindle is on the primes. Hulkenberg sideways. He manages to collect it and continue on. Now this could hurt Hindle if he gets held up behind Hulkenberg here while Stocky's on those option tyres. It could give Stocky more of an advantage, although Stocky looks like he's dropped back quite a bit. You know, I don't think he's managed to get his tyres up to temperature. He's in the wall. He's lost part of his front wing. That's his challenge over. He's going to be heading back to the pits, or at least he needs to be. Excuse me. Oh, someone told me if I give up smoking I'll stop coughing. No, not quite. Oh, Huggable Panda's taken quite a bit too much curb there.
It's Twist, Royalty, Lane and Thermal 27.
Twist Royalty is no longer on the list.
I think it was him, it was in the well, he was in the other Mercedes.
It could well have been. Let's have a quick look at the race director. We've got Richie Davey and Stocky in the pits. Stocky replacing his front wing. Twist Royalty it was then. That was in the Wall of Champions. So Twist Royalty's race is over. We've still got 12 guys or 12 drivers still racing at this time. James Hulkenberg not made a stop yet, and neither has Dave the Harp. Killer Corkin is now in the pits. Okay, let's get back to the action then. Now Hindle's essentially just been gifted the chance of the win here. I mean, he was leading anyway, but Stocky had the best opportunity to catch him on the option tyres towards the end of this race. But having that momentary bit of damage has cost him any chance of challenging. Now, how far behind is Richie Davey, who is on the prime tyre as well? He's not that far behind. He may be able to use a slipstream from James Hulkenberg, although he now doesn't look close enough to really benefit from that. Hulkenberg continuing on to lap 11 on his option tyres. I did say that they will last quite long, depending on how well you treat them. Okay, Stringy is sat in 4th place, which is essentially a net 3rd place. So let's have a look at where Stocky is now. He's down in 8th place with Dave the Harp ahead of him, but Dave the Harp has not yet pitted. I think he's going in now. No, he's not. He's continuing on. So we've got old options, v new options, and DRS assisted as well. Stocky should easily get ahead into turn 1. And if they give each other enough room, they'll both easily make it, and they have done. Okay, Killer Corkin is in 9th place with JJ behind him. Now, I don't think I can ride on board with JJ. I know there was one of the drivers that I couldn't. I think it is JJ. So, he's going. He looked up the inside. He's had to brake hard to avoid contact. Now we've got Killer Corkin on option tyres here. JJ on the prime. So Killer should be able to pull away. And it is JJ won't let me ride on board with. So who's behind JJ? It's Jason. Not close enough to see how that's going. So we'll ride on board then with Killer Corkin. See if we can get a nice rear shot. Not a shot of his rear, but I'm not interested in seeing bum pictures, thank you. Not unless you are a beautiful female, and that can mean in looks or personality.
Rachel Brooks?
No. Rachel Brooks, yeah. Rachel Brooks, no thank you. I've already seen those videos on Facebook or YouTube where it looks like a woman's breasts in a bra and then the camera pans out and it's a guy's backside. Not interested in any of those, thank you, Ray. Okay, so JJ's into the pits, so that frees up Killer Corkin then. Now Hulkenberg has pitted on the prime tyres, got the Huggable Panda ahead. Now Hulkenberg, you can see, I was about to say, he's going to struggle on these prime tyres with them being cold, so he's working to get the temperature into them. Excuse me. Now, when you do go to the prime tyres, they are absolutely horribly cold, and it is something I think that has caught out quite a few drivers this season. The tyre temperatures do seem to work very, very differently, but it's something they've got to get used to, and they will get used to. Now that is a can of beer being opened, because that was Ray. There's no chance he's drinking Sprite.
No, it's just Coca-Cola.
Get away. Got to have vodka in it, surely. Okay, I'm riding on board with Stringy for a moment. He's now up to 3rd place because James Hulkenberg pitted. So I did say he was up into a net 3rd place. Running on the prime tyre, 8 seconds behind the leader, which means he just can't be too far away from Richie Davey. Well, Richie's 2.5 behind the leader. Which means that 3rd place is about 5 seconds back. Now Hindle obviously leading the race. May feel he's fairly comfortable at the moment, but Richie Davies going to keep pushing to try and gain and apply the pressure. Oh, a bit too much curb there from Hindle. And then plenty of carbon fibre down the start finish straight here. Now we're on lap 15, so Ray, we've got 2 or 3 laps to start thinking about possible drivers of the day or incidents of the day. Obviously we don't do any stewards reviews or anything like that for these events, and the drivers of the day, I mean, we pick them for World Championship and World Series, and it is quite an acclaimed award. Oh, too much curb again from Hindle. It might not be as bad as some of the other drivers have done, but still got to try and keep it on the road. How's he getting on through turn 8? Ah, too much curb again there. Again, it's not as bad as some of the others we've seen, but it's still off the track. How's Richie Davey getting on?
James Hulkenberg's closing on Huggable Panda, but he's not happy with his rear by the looks of it. Keeps kind of stepping out for him.
Well, that could be having gone to those prime tyres. I mean, it may be that the setup he was running on Wednesday had quite a lot of oversteer in it, and perhaps he was feeling that he wanted to try and dial that out. He may have found out that he's not been able to do that. And we have got another car in the pit, so I don't know whether that's for damage or not. But Richie Davey looked like he had a fairly decent line through the final chicane, but he's dropped time on Hindle at the front here. I tell you what, Ray, if you don't mind, can you just keep an eye on, if you just watch Hindle and see whether Richie Davey catches up while I go and view the rest of the field behind for the last couple of laps. Now, Stringy, he's dropping back. Oh, he's taken quite a lot of curb there at turn 6. Now, he may feel that he's got to push hard to try and close that gap up, but sometimes you just have to admit that drivers are faster than you, even if you don't want to. Or, for example, they may watch the footage and go, oh, that's why. Go on, Ray.
I just got news from the Mercedes pit garage. It was twisted.
It definitely, yeah, it definitely was twisted loyalty in the final chicane. Okay, right on board with a huggable Panda. We'll find out whether the way she's driving is huggable or not. Now, Ray did say he's got James Hulkenberg catching her up, which he has.
Jason's spun or something. He's in a pit lane.
So Jason's coming out of the pits. I wonder then, because I did see another car in the pit lane half a lap ago, so I'm wondering whether perhaps there was a collision, perhaps with Jason and another car, which has caused both of them to end up in the pit lane. Okay, so the huggable Panda clean round turn 1, turn 2, that's good. Now it's from here where it gets difficult for the drivers for turn 3. Oh, that's not good. Let's put it that way. Turn 6 and 7 coming up. Oh, gone wide. But keeps it going through turn 7. Now up to 8 and 9. And Hulkenberg looks like he's dropping off. And this is where it can get frustrating for drivers if they're driving properly and they're seeing cars doing this. They can't catch them, but this is why. So the huggable Panda is going to have to work on keeping the car on the racetrack to become a reserve driver. Now Hulkenberg's... Oh, he's got Stocky all over the back of him. That could also explain why Hulkenberg's dropped back a little bit. Stocky on the option tyres, applying some pressure. Now, both of these are World Championship drivers, so I would say that they should show us how it's done, but I've got a feeling it might end up in a crash. It's just the way it works, isn't it? Oh, Stocky perhaps taking a bit too much curb there. Hulkenberg beautifully through the final chicane. Slipstreaming, heading up to turn 1. As we start the final lap for these guys. Let's go and spot Hindle. He's halfway around the track.
Yellow flags ahead.
Now I know quite a few people have been confused by yellow flags on the game so far, but I have done a few explanation videos about why yellow flags have been posted. I haven't made them all public though. and I probably should, but what I've more done, I've sort of, when I know someone's gone, why is this doing this, the game's dodgy, it's like, well, here, in private, this is why it's doing it. I think, well, I don't think he's going for getting tyre temperature there. Oh, is it clipped the wall of champions? I think it was more a sort of celebratory swerve as Hindle takes the victory. Richie Davey will take second place. The Huggable Panda is in fourth, with Stringy B in third, and it's Andy Russell that's behind him, so it's not fourth attacking third towards the finish line, so Stringy will finish third. The Huggable Panda fourth, with Stocky in fifth, James Hulkenberg in sixth. I don't think he'll be overly pleased. My Bad in seventh, involved in another collision around Montreal, which did hurt Andy Russell's race there. Dave the Harp in eighth place, with a car right behind him. It must have been for position. It was Killer Corkin. Oh, and now I can ride on board with JJ. So I've absolutely no idea really how his race went, because he just would not let me ride on board with them. But it is possible that I saw him pitting earlier on. Oh, I know it's the last lap, but the one bit I see him for 15 seconds, it was bad through the final chicane. But anyway, there we go. Well, that's the Front Row Racing World Series. I think it's fair to say that quite a few drivers there just need to work a little bit on keeping the car on the track. But either way, it gave us an eventful race. There was loads kicking off there. Some people might be happy, some people might not be happy. What's your view of the race, Ray?
Yeah, it was a good race. A wee bit of contact there and then. Some people might not be happy, as you say, and thank God we ain't doing podium.
Well, thank God we ain't doing podium interviews, and thank God we ain't doing any stewarding for the world for the Fridays, because we'd be here till next Friday. I am going to have a quick look at the race director though, because there's going to be quite a few things on here. Hindle lap 1 corner cutting, JJ lap 1 corner cutting, Stringy B. I'm not going to have enough time to look through all these. Let's quickly scroll down. Wow, there is loads of them, and this is what I'm on about. By drivers have really got to work on keeping it on the racetrack to become a reserve driver. There's exceeding track limits, and then there's doing it so many times that the race director can't fit them all on. But this is why we do the FRR-idays events with no stewards, right? It's so that drivers can come and race. We record it, we'll commentate on it, we see them off track, we'll take the mic, we'll comment on it, but we'll also advise them of how they can improve, or that they need to improve. It's then up to the drivers to do so. If they want to become a league driver, then that's what they need to work on. If that means you end up going slower, then so be it. I wouldn't say that's the whole point of it. The point of it is you're supposed to be on the racetrack. Fairness. If you staying on the racetrack means that you're slower, then that is your pace. There's no sort of arguing that one, really. I mean, this is something that I've wanted to say quite a few times, and that is, let's say for example Kev187 and myself are fairly quick. We're quite closely matched on pace a lot of the time, and we do work quite hard on making sure that we are clean as much as possible. I mean, definitely from me, because I get scrutinised like you wouldn't believe, but I don't mind that. But the thing that I always like to think, okay, I should really just say this, and that is, if myself and Kev decided, you know what, let's just go and do ETLs.
You're building the distance.
Exactly. We would be an additional second and a half ahead. But we don't do it because it's not fair, it's not right. So there we go. Anyway, an interesting session. Now, for anyone that is watching that is interested in possibly joining the league, feel free to send a message to Front Row Racing on Facebook, and obviously, hopefully, if you've been listening to the live stream, you've got an idea of what we do. Take part in the FRR-idays events, drive cleanly, drive fairly, you can become a reserve driver for the league. Do well in there, and you can potentially take a permanent spot if one comes available. So that's the way that works. But also, we're going to be starting a Project Cars League on Friday nights and one on Sunday nights. The Friday night one will be starting, I think 9 PM starts, and the Sunday one will be 8:30 PM starts. We haven't confirmed a start date for these two leagues yet, because I just want to get the word out a little bit more that we're starting them, so that people can apply. So if you're interested in joining an F1 league, feel free to contact Front Row Racing. If you're interested in joining a Project Cars League, again, send us a message. For the Project Cars League, we're not going to be doing any stewarding for that. We're going to keep it nice and simple. Turn up, race, we'll record it, we'll update the standings, that's it. We'll leave the game to deal with everything else. So yeah, but in about 40 minutes time, I am going to be hosting just a Project Cars race night, and I'm going to live stream it as well on the Front Row Racing live on Twitch. And
does that mean I need to be in good behaviour?
Not necessarily, because what I'm actually going to do is I'm probably not going to talk to you lot because I'm probably not going to be driving. I'm going to be more watching, taking the mick out of everybody. I'm also going to be trying something new, which is doing a live broadcast on the Front Row Racing Twitch, right? Watching it on my computer and broadcasting that live stream on my own, so I can try and promote the Front Row Racing Project Cars a little bit more, so my own followers can watch the thing. I want to see if I can get it to work, so I'm going to play about with that.
Feed that hamster.
Oh, he's been fed. He's been fed. Anabolic steroids is what he's been fed. But anyway, right, okay, so we'll bring this live stream to an end now that everybody else has gone. So if you have been watching, thank you very much for watching. I know a few messages have come up. I will just quickly see if I can see the last few of those. I see view comments. I was swerving, warming my tyres up, and he hit and crashed. I'm guessing that Jim, well, it might have been Jim, I don't know, I can't remember. But the qualifying, okay. So Lame Inferno on Twitch is Twist Inferno, was it? I think so. So yeah, it was definite Twist Royalty, that's it. So it was definitely him that did end up in the Wall of Champions. Right, okay, so time to bring the live stream to an end. We'll see you later on for Project Cars, and then next Wednesday, Thursday and Friday 7:30 PM for World Championship, World Series and FRR-idays. I'm from Row Racing DP. He's been
Rachel Brooks.
Oh yeah, send me that picture. We've been from Row Racing. Oh, we've been from Row Racing, and obviously we don't take the Friday events as seriously as the main league events, but it is our feeder system. So anyway, that's the end, and we'll see you again soon.
Ta-ta.